Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. This is Marquita here. My channel is late nights, early mornings, to go along with the blog that I have on blogger.com, also listed below in the description box. Today I'm just doing another houseplant update. As you can see, I have acquired a few new friends and also lost a couple. So I will talk about that and just kind of explain a little bit about who's here and kind of what they do and how it's been going with growing things. In general, I have quite a few small house plants like these, and then I have a couple of big ones which I'll get to, and then I also have 2 arrow gardens. So if you've watched my channel before, you've probably seen me talk about all of those things, and I just want to kind of go over and focus mainly on the real house plants, like real house plants in my apartment. But also I'll probably just give a brief overview of the arrow gardens because I'm going to give them their own separate video later on down the line, but you'll see them briefly. So we'll go ahead and get started. This is my main, I guess you could say, plant center where most of my smaller house plants reside, and part of that is because they are right in a good view of direct sunlight. So I have a very nice sized balcony, as you can see. I also am growing a few things outside. Those are mostly herbs. As a matter of fact, everything on that table is mint, sweet mint and apple mint, and those are strawberry leaves that you see in the planter. And there's another rack that you can't see out the window here that has some lemon balm and some other things. Most of those, actually all of those, with the exception of the 2 that are sitting at the very front of the balcony right up under the planters, are reoccurring things from last year. So the 2 at the front are chocolate mint and pineapple mint. The one that looks a little sad is the pineapple mint. Never had it before. I actually purchased it looking like that, so it may have just been on the struggle bus, but we'll see what happens. Both came from Lowe's. Actually, everything out here is Lowe's. I'm on the outside, and I am going to be moving with probably by the end of this month. So that's why I'm not planning a lot outside, because I wasn't quite sure what my outdoor space would look like wherever I end up, because I haven't even started looking at apartments yet. Well, not in person. I have looked online. So that's why the outside is kind of, bare and all of that. But today we're going to focus on the inside. So these are my house plants that regardless of where I go, they're going to. And hopefully they'll have lots of light. That's one thing I am going to look for, because this is the only window in my large window in my apartment, and I have one smaller one in my bedroom, which there are no plants in there right now just because the window is also by a vent, so I didn't want to risk like having a plant positioned right up under a vent. However, I may rearrange that later. But this is the main source of light in this apartment, and so this is why I have my main setup of plants here, because most of these plants, however, although they are low light plants, they do enjoy direct sunlight. There are a couple that are medium light, so they actually do want the sunlight, and they grow very well in the sunlight. And as you can see, the light hits perfectly. It's actually kind of stormy right now, and not full sun, and you can still see it's a decent amount of light on the plants. Also, to assist in the growing, I have these grow lights. So that's what those things sticking up are, and the one that's kind of curved under for the bottom rack. Those came like that. They're bendable. You can flex them, move them all around, and they just clip on to the edge of my planter there. And they plug in. You can set the timer however you like. And they do have the red and the blue, so they make the purple if you have them on. They come on at night for me, is when I set the time, and they stay on for about 2 to 3 hours. I can't remember exactly if it was 2 or 3 hours, but they just come on and then they go off on their own. So they're off during the day because, as you can see, they get indirect sunlight, and then that's just to help a little bit, because plants do still need rest time, and that's something I don't think people think about. Plants are living, breathing things, so they do need time to rest. And since light assists in their growing process, when they have light, things are happening. They're working. So without the light, they are at rest. And so you want to make sure that even if you have grow lights or whatever, that they do have a cycle where they're off and on, because the plants do need some rest. All right, so I'll just start. The rack that they're sitting on came from Lowe's. I want to say it was like $20. I'm not 100% sure. it was a very affordable price, because sometimes Lowe's can have things that are a little pricey for basic fixtures, but this was actually a really good price. So I want to say it was like between 20 and 30 bucks. If it's still available on the website, then I'll link it down below. And the brand is Allen and Roth, which a lot of their products at Lowe's, like the planters and such, are that brand. So it's a pretty good brand, and it's, doing the job. But anyway, I'll start with the first one here. This is a bicolor Marginata, and the reason it's bicolor is because they do come in like all green, or they are grown all green, but this one happens to have red in it as well. So that's why it's a bicolor, because it's two colors. So that one would actually be pretty. I've seen larger sizes of this. It would be really pretty in your yard. The bigger ones, obviously. But I bought this one small, so of course it has a long way to go before it's a yard-sized plant. But yeah, so that's the bicolor Marginata. I believe it is one of my medium light plants, or is it low light? I keep the tags in. Yeah, it is one of my medium light plants. I don't have too many of them because, like I said, I have limited light space, but it is one of the few. And next to it is a low light plant, and this is my Brazil. Now, you might say that plant looks a little struggle bus, but it's actually not, because I purchased this. It was a small plant, and all but one leaf, the biggest leaf you see there, died. I don't know why. And that one came strong and healthy, and I almost threw out the plant and gave up on it. But I said, no, let's see what this one leaf does. And since then, you can see this one leaf has produced a second one, and there's two more budding out. So I don't know, maybe something was going on with that. It looks like it may have been, maybe some root rot or something, whatever it was. Now the plant seems to be happy because it's, growing leaves, and they are keeping their variation in color here. So I do like that. So yeah, that is, and that's kind of what attracted me to it. Is I love plants. Almost all my plants have some kind of color variation or whatnot. I have very few solid green plants. So yeah, that is the Brazil. Next to it, this is an interesting plant. I think I just need to readjust the soil. It was small when I purchased it, like low and small. Now it's growing up, and I might switch spots with it because it seems to be reaching and leaning for the light. But this is a polka dot plant, and so it's green and pink. So again, I just liked it because it was colors. No, I'm not an AKA, but so yeah, I just need to adjust the soil there because it is growing. Like I said, when I bought it, it was short and more overflow wide, and now it's grown up, and I can see where it looks like there are more things to come. So I want to make sure that it's comfortable so it will continue to grow, because what is there is healthy. It might need a little more water. And then what it's leaning on is Mr. Rex here, and Rex comes in a variant of colors, and I actually saw some beautiful ones in Lowe's the last time I was in there. However, the red was not as deep as this red, so I didn't get it. And if I see them again, I may go back because they were a lot fuller, but they were more a lighter red, and they had more of a green sheen to them. And then you can probably see it does kind of have like that sheen, which is part of their character. They are known to have beautiful coloring. So I just really love that deep dark red with the black contrast. So this is another medium light plant, as you can see. And some people say that these plants can be finicky, because when I first saw it, it was only like one of these at the time that I bought this plant. And I remember looking it up, and I always check the care instructions. So if you're thinking about getting plants, just Google them, Google the names. And I knew it was a medium light plant, which that didn't really concern me. But when I was reading the care instructions, it was saying that sometimes they can be really finicky, and if you don't treat them right or whatever, they'll die on you. And this one has actually done really well. And it's been in this same spot pretty much the whole time since I've had it, and I just repotted it into that regular pot. I use Miracle Grow indoor potting soil, and I mix it with diatomaceous earth, which will, as you can see, you haven't seen anything flying around over here, for that very reason, because I mix it with diatomaceous earth. And I actually top water all of these plants that you see. So You know, the diatomaceous earth helps keep the gnats at bay. But back to Rex. Rex has been really good. The one thing I will say is when Rex needs water, he will get extra dramatic and droop. And I honestly wait until I start to see, not like a full droopage, but when I see the leaves start to look saggy, then that's when I put a little water in it. Because one of the issues with this plant is that you have to kind of have the right amount of water. Too much water will kill it. Too little water will obviously kill it. But he really does a good job. Yes, he really does a good job of letting you know kind of when he needs water. So I just watch for when the leaves start looking like they're going to droop. I don't let it just like go all the way down, but it almost looks like it's fainting. And as soon as you put a little water on it, it perks up probably in less than an hour. So that's what I watch for, and I just give it a little water and then I let it be. And so far it's been working. Down here is one of my newer plants. This is a peperonia, I believe I pronounced that correctly. Another variation here with the two-tone green. Some of them are, you can buy them solid green. This one actually came from, oh, let me mention, all of these plants up top came from Lowe's, with the exception of the pink polka dot that came from Home Depot. And then this little plant I almost forgot about. I cannot remember the name. It starts with a K. It was like in the turkey planter. So if you've seen my previous videos and it was in the bronze turkey, this is the same plant. I just moved it over because it was starting to outgrow that turkey planter. And so I just gave it a little more room, and it's giving me more leaves. Because all of that at the top is new growth that has occurred since I've owned the plant. So all of this, all these smaller leaves are all new growth. The big leaves were the leaves that were pretty much there when I purchased the plant. And so it's growing, so it seems to be happy, and hopefully it will bud, because it will or can produce flowers. So I'm hoping that when the time comes, I will get some blooms as well. Back to this one, the peperonia. Again, because I like the colors, purchased this one. This one came from Walmart, believe it or not. And it is another medium light plant, and it is actually just sitting in this pot. The pot that it's sitting in, our planter, actually came from Walmart as well. I did a video on those in my little finds. And I just put water in the bottom because, as we mentioned, or as you've probably heard before, self-watering plants, or that come, I just sit it down there. It has a little plug, a drainage hole. So what I do is pour water in the bottom, and then I just sit the plant in its pot down in there like it usually is sitting, and there we go, and I just let it be, and it absorbs water as it needs it. Now this one didn't have the wicking, oh, I didn't mean to turn that. This one doesn't have the wicking strings on the bottom, but I'll show you some that do in just a moment, and I'll show you what we mean by self-watering plants. I just want to turn this back to how I had it. Although it's probably fine to rotate them. But yeah, it looks like I'm getting a little new growth here, so it seems to be pretty happy. And that system seems to be working. I'm actually going to sit down here. And of course, next to that plant, to the peperonia, you see the aloe plants. They do what they want to do in terms of how they grow. I looked into it just to make sure like it was nothing wrong with them, but actually that's just how they do. Sometimes it could be that they're reaching for light, so it looks like a lot of them are pulling in that direction of the window. But as you can see, especially in this little one here, there's a lot of new growth. Like this stem in the middle is a baby growth, and then that piece right next to it is actually a new piece as well. So you know, they are growing and they're fine, even though they're looking all funky, stretched all kinds of ways. That's just aloe. So one suggestion was to rotate them so that they kind of get even sunlight, so it's like, you know, pieces aren't reaching for the sun. But yeah, it just does what it wants to do, and it's totally fine. But you can see that these are firm, so that's good. If they're mushy, super mushy, then, you know, it means that they're being overwatered. But that nice green color and the firmness, they are good. And of course it's aloe, so you can, you know, use the aloe inside if you needed to. All right, next we have a purple waffle plant, and it may look a little different because you don't see the purple as prevalent as you will see in the other one, but you can kind of see on the underside of that one a little bit of purple. But it has been growing because it was a smaller plant, so it definitely has grown and gotten taller since I've had it. And it seems to be, it's also a medium light plant, and it seems to be enjoying where it is. So yeah, I don't have much to say other than it grows. It does shed, and some leaves die, but they also seem to produce new ones. So I guess something is working in there. And I have another purple waffle, so I'll show you that. I actually have 2 more waffle plants to show. But these have been here. All these 3 on the bottom, they've been here for a while. The pepperoni is relatively new, but I've still had it for like a month or so. So those 3 are OGs, and pretty much everything up at the top has been here for quite a while, for a few months. And so they're all doing well. So now we'll move on to some other newbies and an oldie but goodie. This is my Chinese evergreen, still one of my favorites. It's one of my larger plants. It's growing, it's doing fine. It actually doesn't need a lot of light, so I try and put it as far away from the window as possible. However, it does like humid environments. So I have the window open, or the door open right now, because it is kind of humid outside, especially with the rain, and it's been warm. So I've been letting the warm air come in and hit the plant, and it seems to be enjoying it. As you can see, it is producing new growth. These shinier looking smaller leaves are new growth. So I think it's safe to say that it is at least somewhat happy, because it is still growing. And then the bigger leaves are older leaves that have been there. So seems to be pretty content right now. All right, going up here, I also want to just cameo my Ikea clock, which is actually navy blue and gold. And it was a nice find, and it's one of those non-ticking clocks, so the second hand doesn't make any noise, it's silent. So I really like it, and I think it's really cute. And I think it was like maybe 14 or 15 bucks, so very fancy. Next to it, and also from Ikea, is the ZZ plant. ZZ is pretty content. I have wanted one for a while, and I just happened to come across it in Ikea, so I purchased it, and she's been happy up there. She was sitting, as you probably saw before, in a corner by my door, because they don't need a lot of light either. And they tend to be relatively slow growing plants, so don't expect to see tons of new growth over in a short period of time. However, that little white stem that you see there, I swear that thing is new, because it was not there when I purchased it. So I don't know, either she's really happy or they're not as slow growing as people say. I don't know, but either way, that's a ZZ plant. Doesn't need a lot of water, can survive periods of drought, and also doesn't need a lot of light. So if you're again looking into starting with your house plant situation, this will be a good beginner plant, because it doesn't require a lot of attention. And I love plants like that, because I really don't have the time sometimes. All right, and up there is what is known as a nerve plant, also known as a combo plant. It's kind of pink or red and green. To me, it looks more pink, but it's like pink and green, red and green. And that is, like I said, it has multiple names: the nerve plant or the combo plant. And it's actually supposed to be like the nerves of leaves or something. I don't really know. I don't remember the history behind it, but I just, again, colorful plants, and it's been there too. I just kind of watch for some droopage when it's time, and then I will water it. So right now they're in between my deceased grandmother, but on the top of my bookcase. So I kind of like that look. Also, a not too new, but one of the newer plants, another snake plant here. This is Sandy, as you can see. This is what happens when you get bored and you have a Cricut machine. Things like that happen. So Sandy is a snake plant, or a variant of a snake plant. This one has the neon kind of trimming on the edge there, instead of being more of a solid green, so those lighter colors. And that's really why I bought it. Also another super easy care plant. Does not require much water or attention or anything else. Just let it be. And I'm going to show you my other snake plant in just a second, which is a little bit larger and also a different variant. It's a darker green, and I'll tell you my watering schedule for that too, and you'll understand why it is why I say it's super simple. All right, so here we have the bigger snake plant that I have, and I have had for probably a year, almost a year. I got it shortly after things started closing down for the pandemic, which was about mid-March in my area. So yeah, I've had this plant for probably about a year now. I got this one from Walmart. As you can see, it was a larger size. The vase or planter that is in came from Lowe's. It's a very good sized planter and everything. Again, the white that you see is the diatomaceous earth, which is great for keeping the gnats away. I have probably watered this plant twice since I've had it. Okay, so that's what I mean by easy care. And I will say it was nice and saturated when I purchased it. So like when I replanted it, I also, put some moisture in the soil, but I have watered it probably like twice. And there it is. So when I say snake plants are, easy care, good plants, there you go. All right, on to the next thing we have here. This is my Pothos trio here. Again, boredom and the cricket combine and you get plant names. So this is Goldie. Goldie is a golden pothos, as the name suggests. One of my newest, or newer, not the newest, one of my newer ones. My first one is here in the middle. Does not have a name because, as you can see, it doesn't have a smooth vase. So Goldie is a golden pothos, and there's really not much to say other than there's Goldie. Also a golden pothos here in the middle, my very first one. And what brought me to my love of golden pothos was this one. I just love the color variation, and they are very easy to grow. So even between these two, this one's a little deeper green. This one has a lighter green tint, but it still has the variation. And then on the end here, we have Julie, which is a Mandula pothos. And Julie has the dark green and very white variants as well. Julie sometimes gets on my nerves because Julie's leaves like to turn brown, especially the whiter leaves, and that is an issue with leaves with the lighter coloring and variants, is that you do get you run into those issues sometimes. But since I did get some copper fungicide and sprayed around there and trimmed off the dead leaves, these here are all new growth. So, and you see she's perky. So it seems to be doing better now. I don't know, it may have just been when I first bought it and adjustments to being repotted and lighting and all that. I don't know, but now it seems to be doing okay. So that's Julie. So Pothos trio here, all from Lowe's once again. And then here we have the newest of the new, which I have featured when I did the planters. These also all came from Lowe's, so I'll get into that. And the company that pretty much all of these plants came from, at least all the ones that came from Lowe's, they're all exotic angel plants. I just want to note that. This is the Snow White Waffle plant, medium light plant, and that's why I have it sitting here by my arrow garden, because it gets light and it seems to be working fine. Planter from Walmart. And this is another golden pothos, as is this. And like I said, I'm just obsessed with the golden pothos. They're one of my favorite pothoses now, and probably my favorite plants. So easy to grow in the colors. They are low light plants, so they would be great for inside in an office. They'd be good to go. But I've just had them all sitting here, and they all kind of catch light between this arrow garden or this one, which usually comes on in about probably in the next hour or so to come on. So that's my newest arrow garden. But yeah, they catch the light. And behind the pothos family here is my other purple waffle plant, which seems to be very happy. And I'm going to show you. You can see the purple is really vibrant there. So again, because it is a medium light plant, I keep it here by my AeroGarden so they can catch that light and make sure it gets a decent amount of light, and it seems to be working. Now, the last thing I want to show you, other than this is round 2 in my AeroGarden. Like, I harvested everything and then left it in there to see if it will regrow. So this is the second growth, which needs to be harvested again. And I also got my replacement AeroGarden. So if you watch my videos, you know the story behind this blinking red light. So I got my replacement for that. And this is my brand new one that did not have issues when I got it. And it's just getting started, and it contains the herb kit. So this is the AeroGarden Bounty Basic, and the other one is the Harvest Slim Elite. But like I said, they'll have their own video. But back to the houseplants here. What I want to show you before I go is just what I mean by self-wicking or self-watering plants. Let's see, the easiest one to pick up is probably this one. So if you see that string at the bottom, the blue and white string, that is what the plant, a lot of them have, and the plants use to soak up the water. So it soaks up water through the roots, which is why I just pour the water in the bottom of these and then let the plants, let the strings do their work. And that is why, even though I really like to repot my plants and put them, just put the soil in and leave them like that, it's so much easier to keep them watered and maintained when you leave it with where the wick can do the work. So, yeah, this is my other Goldie. That bottom leaf is an older leaf. I'll probably just trim off. But I bought this particular one because look at those branches. Like, that's nice. So, yeah, that's another golden purple waffle plant. The Snow White waffle plant, which I thought was pretty unique, and I particularly got that cream planter for this plant in mind because I thought the contrast would be nice, and it is. And another golden pothos, which is very fluffy and full, but they're all sitting in their original containers. They have the self-wicking situation going on, and I just pour water in the bottom and set it back in there, and it does its thing, and that keeps them, vibrant and watered properly and all of that. All right, guys, that's the end of my updated houseplant tour. Probably won't have another one before I move unless I just acquire a bunch of new plants, but I don't think I will. But I just want to showcase those, show you a little bit about the self-watering and care. All of these are pretty low maintenance with the exception of maybe the waffle plants and Rex over there, but for the most part they've been pretty easy to care for. And if you are someone who is interested in starting a houseplant collection, highly recommend pothos or snake plants, and even the Chinese evergreen. Even though it may not look like an easy plant, it is one of the harder to kill plants because they're very forgiving as well if you overwater or underwater. So thanks again for watching. Please check out my social media platforms down below and follow, like, and subscribe. See you next time.